No one could handle the billionaire's twin daughters until a single dad. Janitor did the impossible. The top floor of Harrison Global's luxury penthouse mansion echoed with another loud crash as a crystal vase shattered against the marble floor. Staff members froze in fear, knowing exactly who was responsible. Lily and Liana, the billionaire's 8-year-old twin daughters, stood in the middle of the chaos with defiant expressions on their identical faces. Their golden dresses were stained with paint, and glitter covered the expensive Persian rug beneath their feet. Another nanny had just quit, tears streaming down her face as she rushed out the door. She was the 13th one this year. Victor Harrison stood silently near the staircase, his jaw tight with frustration. As one of the most powerful businessmen in the country, he could control markets, negotiate billion-dollar deals, and command boardrooms filled with executives. But he could not control his own children. Since their mother passed away 2 years earlier, the twins had built invisible walls around their hearts. They refused affection. They rejected kindness. They pushed everyone away before anyone could leave them again. Later that night, when the mansion finally grew quiet, Daniel pushed his cleaning cart down the long hallway. He was the janitor, hired to maintain spotless floors and polished glass windows. A single father himself, he worked late shifts to provide for his 7-year-old son, Noah. He had noticed the twins long before anyone else had paid attention. Not their tantrums, but their eyes. Beneath the anger was something else, sadness. As he entered the playroom to clean up scattered toys and overturned chairs, he heard a faint sniffle. He paused. The room was dimly lit, moonlight slipping through the tall windows. Moving quietly, he followed the sound and found Lily and Liana hiding behind a large velvet couch. Their shoulders trembled. For the first time there was no screaming, only silent tears. Daniel did not scold them. He did not call security. Instead, he slowly sat down on the floor a few feet away. He kept his voice gentle. "Sometimes being strong feels like pretending you don't miss someone," he said softly. The twins looked up, startled. No adult had spoken to them like that before. No lectures, no orders, just understanding. "My son still cries at night for his mother," Daniel continued. "And I tell him it's okay. Missing someone means they mattered." The room felt different. The anger that usually filled the air slowly faded. Lily crawled a little closer. Liana wiped her eyes. For the first time since their mother's death, someone saw their pain instead of their behavior. And that was the moment everything began to change. The next morning, the Sterling mansion seemed unusually tense, though the twins were already plotting. Lila and Lara had decided that yesterday's fleeting smile from Imran was not enough. He needed a real test. They whispered to each other in hushed tones, eyes glinting with mischief, and immediately began their campaign. From hiding shoes to switching clothes in the laundry, nothing was off limits. Every hallway, every room became a trap, and the girls watched eagerly, expecting the janitor to snap or storm out like everyone else. Imran moved through the mansion with his usual quiet efficiency, seemingly unaware of the chaos surrounding him. He tripped once on a strategically placed rug and nearly slipped in the kitchen when Lara poured water on the floor, but he simply laughed, muttering, "Almost got me, huh?" The twins exchanged stunned glances. No one had ever laughed with them instead of scolding or punishing. Imran seemed to understand that their pranks weren't just rebellion. They were cries for attention, challenges to be met with respect and patience. By afternoon, the twins' antics escalated. They had locked themselves in the mansion's storage room, giggling and daring each other to see if he would panic. Imran heard their muffled laughter and approached calmly, his footsteps steady. "Need a hand, ladies?" he called gently, leaning against the doorframe. Lila's heart skipped a beat. Most adults would have yelled or demanded they come out, but this man, this janitor, was patient, kind, and unafraid. With a quiet word, he guided them out of the room, making the rescue feel like a game rather than a punishment. It wasn't just his patience that amazed them. It was how he listened. Over snacks later in the afternoon, Imran casually asked about their day at school, about friends, and even about their little worries. The twins found themselves talking, really talking, for the first time in months. Lila admitted she was tired of feeling like no one could understand her, and Lara shyly confessed she missed spending time with her father without being scolded for small mistakes. Imran didn't judge, he didn't lecture. He simply listened, offering gentle advice and small solutions that made the twins feel respected. By evening, a quiet bond had begun to form. Leela leaned against the kitchen counter, watching him mop, and Lara quietly handed him a towel without being asked. Alexander Sterling, watching from the balcony, couldn't hide his disbelief. This man, this single dad janitor, had already accomplished what no tutor, nanny or governess had in years. The twins were beginning to trust him, and for the first time, Alexander wondered if maybe, just maybe, the impossible could actually become reality. Days passed, and the bond between Imran and the twins grew stronger with each moment. Layla and Lara were no longer just mischievous little terrors. They were curious, observant, and slowly beginning to respect the man who had entered their lives quietly but decisively. After school, the girls would sometimes sneak into the cleaning closet just to watch him organize supplies or talk to him about trivial things, homework, favorite snacks, even their little secrets. Imran never dismissed them. He listened patiently, offering guidance and subtle lessons about responsibility, honesty, and kindness. The twins, in turn, started listening to him, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the Sterling mansion, a minor accident changed everything. Leela had been trying to bake a simple cake with Lara, but the twins' lack of experience led to flour spilling everywhere and a small burn on Lila's hand. She screamed, startled by the pain, and Lara panicked, unsure what to do. Imran, who had been tidying nearby, rushed over immediately. He didn't scold them for their mistakes or get angry at the mess. Instead, he gently assessed Lila's hand, applied first aid, and reassured her in a calm, soothing voice. "It's okay, you're safe. Accidents happen," he said, his tone filled with warmth and understanding. In that moment, something shifted. Lila, usually guarded and defiant, clung to him without hesitation. Lara followed suit, trembling but trusting him completely. For the first time, the twins felt what it was like to be protected without fear or judgment. It wasn't just safety, they felt love, patience, and attention that no amount of wealth or authority could buy. They realized that Imran's strength wasn't in controlling them, but in earning their trust and showing them that someone could care unconditionally. Alexander Sterling, observing from a distance, noticed the transformation with a mixture of awe and concern. His daughters, who had been distant and unruly, were laughing, joking, and leaning on Imran in ways that made him feel a strange combination of pride and unease. This janitor, a man with no title or wealth, had achieved what he, a billionaire, had struggled to accomplish for years. The twins' bond with Imran was undeniable, and the realization hit Alexander hard. This man was not just a caretaker. He was becoming family in the most unexpected way. That night, as Lila and Lara finally went to bed, they whispered to each other about the janitor who had stolen their hearts. "He's different," Lila said softly. "I think we actually like him," Lara replied, her voice trembling with admiration. Imran didn't know it yet, but the impossible bond between a single dad and the billionaire's untamable daughters was only just beginning. The Sterling mansion was unusually quiet that morning. Alexander Sterling had been called away for urgent business, leaving the twins alone for the first time in weeks. Lila and Lara immediately panicked at the thought of being without their father's supervision. Though they had begun to trust Imran, the absence of their billionaire father left a lingering sense of fear and uncertainty. They darted from room to room, whispering to each other and attempting to stay busy. But their anxiety was palpable. Imran noticed their restlessness immediately. Calm and composed as always, he knelt down and spoke gently to them. "Hey, it's okay. Your dad will be back soon, but until then, I'm here. We'll manage together." The twins stared at him in disbelief. They had grown accustomed to adults reacting with frustration or impatience, but Imran's presence brought an unexpected sense of safety. He didn't just clean the house. He filled it with a warmth and stability they had never experienced before. The rest of the day became a lesson in teamwork, trust, and compassion. Imran guided the twins through homework, meal prep, and even tidying up their chaotic playroom. Whenever they faltered or argued, he intervened with gentle authority rather than anger, showing them how to communicate and solve problems. Lila, normally stubborn and quick to lash out, began listening. Lara, who often hid her feelings behind mischief, learned to express herself honestly. The twins' laughter, once rare and fleeting, filled the mansion in a way that surprised even Imran. When Alexander returned that evening, he was struck by a sight he had never witnessed before. His daughters were calm, happy, and genuinely affectionate toward someone who was not him. Lila ran to Imran and hugged him tightly, while Lara held his hand, looking up at him with trust and admiration. Alexander felt a pang of both relief and awe. No one, not tutors, not nannies, not friends or relatives, had ever earned the love and respect of his daughters like this man had. Imran had done the impossible. Over dinner, the twins chatted freely, laughing and joking, sharing little stories about their day. Alexander watched quietly, realizing that Imran had become more than a janitor. He was a mentor, a protector, and a father figure who had touched their hearts in a way wealth and authority never could. That night, as Lila and Lara went to bed, they hugged Imran tightly and whispered, "Thank you for being here, for being us." Alexander, standing in the doorway, understood finally what the impossible truly meant. Some people could not be measured by titles or money. They could only be measured by the love they gave. Imran, the single dad janitor, had earned what no one else could: the hearts of the billionaire's untamable twin daughters. In that moment, the impossible was no longer impossible. It had become reality.